Give it up for Mr. Dan Frye, everybody.
Thank you. All right. Who here likes going to the hospital? Yeah, I don't like going to the hospital. I really don't. I was there 3 days ago today. It was just as bad as it always is. I hate going to the hospital, like making the trip, because if you think about how recent of an event that is, comedians build up other comedians. This bit. No, when you think about it, you actually we have to go to a building. Doctors used to come to us. It was great, probably. I didn't live to see it. I'm sure it was nice. I mean, you get to have the medicine in your own home. That was probably so cozy. But now, people my generation, we have to march on down to what is effectively an office building if we feel like we're going to die, which is a lot less comfortable. So this is my first notes. I thought I'd bring up notes. But those lazy doctors, they're lazy because they used to walk from house to house. They're lazy. They're all in one building now. And they're also sneaky because they made us to turn that system up on its head. And we just got dragged along for the ride. So now, people in my generation are missing out on that old-timey charm of a man coming up to your home dressed in a bird costume to put worms on your skin. That's another thing. Medicine used to be so simple. The cure was worms. They would put worms on. It's leeches. It's not worms. Yeah, I'm getting it. But you think about your old peasant, oh man, I got a toothache. And the guy shows up, he's got a bird costume on. He's like, you know what's really good for that? Worms. Worms? He's like, yeah, if you put a worm on your cheek, that toothache will probably go away. And the other guy's like, are you sure? And then he's like, well, who's wearing the bird costume here? Come on. But yeah, I hate the hospital. I hate going to the hospital. Because it's bad enough when you're there and there's something wrong with you. But if you're there and there isn't something wrong with you, you feel, well, okay. So a little bit of backstory. For a long time, since I was a little kid, I've been something of a hypochondriac. I've been afraid of being accused of being a hypochondriac. I want to make something very clear. I'm not a hypochondriac, and I don't want any of you to think that I'm a hypochondriac. That is my fear that I've established just now. Okay? But I was home and I was breathing weird, and I was my heart was racing because I was breathing weird. This is probably serious enough to go and have a doctor look at this. So I drove to the hospital. I committed to the drive, which is 15 minutes from where I live. That's kind of a big drive. But the thing is, I sit in the parking lot for half an hour, and I'm doing little checks on myself. Am I actually breathing weird? Yeah, I am breathing weird. But is it enough to warrant walking into the building? I could just leave. Because the last time I did this, it was appendicitis. And if you haven't had appendicitis, it feels, you can't even shit. It hurts so bad. You can't even take a poop in your own home. That's how bad appendicitis hurts. And it wasn't that bad, so I'm like, okay, I better be safe than sorry. So I walked in, and I had a doctor look at me. And the first doctor who looked at me, she said maybe it's pneumonia, which is great. You know? It's I'm 24 years old, this is nothing to worry about. I'm 24 years old, it's summertime, I have pneumonia. What's better than that? But when you're in the hospital, it's better. It's oh, I know what's wrong. So you can kip up, and you're I can sit up and relax. I'm in the hospital, I know what's wrong. But then I had an x-ray done, and another doctor came and looked at me. He's like, no, get out of here, you're fine. And I guess he was the final opinion of the evening, and I had rekindled my fear of looking like a hypochondriac. So that happened. And the thing is that's not an organic fear. I'm sure a lot of people who are hypochondriacs are legitimate hypochondriacs. People who are afraid of being accused of hypochondriacs, it's a different story. When I was very young, and this is the thing is, the person who kindled this fear in me was a healthcare official, which makes it a little worse. When I was a little boy, I would do anything to get out of being in elementary school, which often included feigning illnesses, because I was a nice kid. I didn't skip school or get into fights. I would feign illnesses. You name it, like a sore throat. Oh, my elbow hurts. There's a rash between my legs. Whatever it is, I would do it. I was dosing out these diagnoses like a genius 7-year-old. I was a man in a bird costume, and it was this hubris that was my undoing, because I assumed that the nurse, she's naive, she's fallen for all these other ones. I'm like, I can get her with anything. So I was eating a bag of smart food. For those who don't know, smart food is a type of popcorn. And I got one of those popcorn shells, like really, it was lodged so incurably in my teeth that I thought that the only cure was to go to the nurse and demand to be sent home for a popcorn kernel that was in my teeth. And that was the day that I learned who really wore the bird costume in that school. It wasn't me, it was the nurse. She was like, a kernel of corn? It's like, you want to go home? You're lucky I don't send you to a different school. She tore that lie apart with no empathy at all for little 7-year-old Dan. That now I'm afraid to walk into a hospital. Not afraid, I think twice. I'm like, oh, it could be that corn kernel event. The thing is though, they said I was fine. I still have that weird, it was 3 days ago, I still have that weird breathing thing. So if there's any doctors here who know anything about like having shallow breaths and kind of not being great at yawning, it's like, we have to think about yawning now. Who thinks about yawning? Yeah, thank you for your time.